that good? Can you hear me? Coffee. All right. So we're going to record episode 2. I tried to record this yesterday and nothing was working. So let's screw it, and now we're here. Hello everyone. For this episode, I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different. I'm still going to read from my journal, but I'm thinking instead of just, watching me read on camera from my journal, I thought maybe I could incorporate some B-roll. I started visual journaling earlier this year. I was doing really good, but we moved to this apartment from our old place and I kind of stopped doing it, packing, unpacking. So I never really got to get back to it, but I did start last night a little bit. So maybe I can continue that as my B-roll. And another thing I thought maybe I could do is, since I'm going through my journals from the past, eventually I want to, dig up my old photos from that time. Yeah, that way it could be kind of like something to look at while I read to you guys. So it's not so boring. So after the last entry, this is what followed. Why does it seem I am invisible sometimes? I believe people see me, but I don't exist to them. Therefore, I can be of no use to them, or so they think. But you'll see, I'll prove them wrong and show the world that I am a force not to be reckoned with. I can do anything I put my mind to, and I'll do it better than anyone has before me. It may take some time and money, but I'll do it all my way. I don't need charity, and I don't need anyone to find a job for me. I call the shots, and if I have to, I'll take my daughters along for the ride. So they don't have to be ashamed of telling their friends that their mom is a housewife. So I won't have to hear, well, at least the kids have you there for them. True, I can be here for my children when they need me, but what good is that if I can't leave these four walls? I want my independence back, and I'm determined to get it back no matter what it takes. No matter how hard or how scary it will be to learn to drive and start my own business, I will do it, and I will make my dreams come true, and I will make myself known not only to those who surround me, but to the world as well. But yeah, to touch on this one line, so I won't have to hear, well, at least the kids have you there. That was something I struggled with a lot at that age because, so I was a stay-at-home mom, and I guess at 20 years old, people expect you to be working hard and have a job and start your career and, go to college. And I couldn't do that. One, because my husband at the time didn't want me to work. He was definitely one of those very traditional, I guess you could say like macho men, where it's like, I want to be the breadwinner of the family, and your job is to take care of the kids and be in the home. And I guess at the time I was really naive, and that was my norm. That was just how it was, and I kind of just accepted it at the time. Yes, I had ambitions, obviously, clearly I did, but he very much controlled the money in the relationship. And now I look back and I see that it was very much on the side of financial abuse, where he controlled all the money all the time. I had to ask him for anything that I needed or anything the kids needed, but the money was his. He controlled everything. And at first it was kind of, again, I was 20 and I thought it was sweet. He said, oh, I'll take care of the bills. You don't have to worry about that. I'll make sure that both our credits are like, our credit scores are like really high, and don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of you. And I bought it. What can I say? I was naive. I was stupid and naive, and I bought it. So I guess a lot of people, this is like late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of people in my circle, my friends, and people that I knew, acquaintances, they kind of just, I don't know, I could be my imagination, but I felt like they looked down on me. They saw me as like, oh, this poor girl, she's just stay-at-home mom, poor thing, and I guess their way of being polite and what they thought was encouraging was like, oh, well, at least you get to be there for your kids. I do remember one time I took, I'm dating myself, but I took a mail order course, not an online course, a mail order course for interior decorating. And there were a few times where it came up in conversation, like, oh, what are you doing? What are you up to? I'm like, oh, I'm taking a course. It's on interior decorating, because I want to get into that. And they were like, oh, okay, that's nice. Well, at least you're doing something. And I hated that. I hated that so much because it's like, yeah, doing something, like, I don't know. I took it in the sense of like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom, like, what do you do all day, like that kind of thing, like that kind of attitude. But when I would tell someone that, I was taking this course, they were like, oh, at least you're doing something, I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Next entry. Why is it that right when you meet really good friends that you can trust and count on, something has to change? Either you move away or they do. Why do I torture myself by remembering all the good times we had together? How much fun we had and how much we shared. It seems pointless to me to have friends at all sometimes. Because when you separate, no matter how much you try to keep in touch, the friendship always, in the end, fades. Take Gina, for instance. We swore we'd never lose touch. And now, not only have we lost touch, we've lost each other as well. How I wish I knew where she is now. I wonder if she's even alive or not. I think that would really be horrible, though, if I finally found her only to know I will never be able to see her again in this life. And what happens when my best friend at the time and I forget to call? I'd be truly alone. So, a lot to unpack here. Like I said, during this time, I was very lonely. I also talked about my friend Gina. She was my best friend in junior high school. She was Korean, and she actually taught me how to use chopsticks, which I always mention to everyone. And she was probably the first best friend that I really confided a lot in. And we did a lot of firsts together, like the first time I ever hung out by myself with someone was with her, with like no parents, no siblings. It was just me and her, and her family was so nice. She was an only child, so they really loved it that I came over and have dinner with them. And yeah, I still miss her. I still miss her. So Gina, if you're watching, please reach out. Yeah, she still is very dear to my heart, and we lost touch. And the last time we spoke, she was in some trouble. I don't know how she got my number, but she managed to get my number, and we spoke for a little bit, and it was a shame that we lost touch. Yeah, one day I hope to find her. Anyway, my best friend at this time was my confidant, she was the one that I would talk about my troubles with. My narcissistic husband, she knew everything. I told her everything. So, yeah, we've since lost touch, but I feel like, that old saying, everyone's in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think, I really appreciate her being there for me during that season, because without her, I don't think I would have made it through, honestly. Um, like I said, we've lost touch, but I have fond memories, definitely. Anyway, okay, let's continue. Okay, next entry. Wow. I think I was, I was in a hole at this time when I was writing these last few entries. Because yeah, this one starts with, spark is gone, at least for now. I want to keep going. I want to fight it. I can't possibly let my talent go to waste. No way I'm going to be a housewife for the rest of my life. What would be the purpose then? I want to do everything I've dreamed of as a kid and show everyone I wasn't what everyone thought I was. I want to be able to pick up and go wherever I want and do whatever I please. I want to own anything my little heart desires. I want to prove everyone wrong. I want to be the one to make all the decisions. I want full control of anything and everything that is remotely a part of my life. I want to do it all and love it. All in all, I want to be satisfied and happy. If I could talk to my 20-year-old self right now, I think I would say, you did it. You did it, Kelly. You've reached the point in your life where you are very much happy, very much satisfied with your life, and you're at peace. Yeah. I think to me from back then would be so happy to hear that I finally reached a point in my life where I'm at peace. And obviously, life is life. The world is what it is, in this economy. Um, but my tiny little bubble is just perfect. I like my life now. Like, yeah, obviously, work is work. I have a day job. But it's not all bad. I get to be creative, have my own place, food on the table, raise two gorgeous daughters, still raising my third, and life is good. Yeah, I think she'd be really happy. She'd be really happy to know that I made it. We made it. We did good. Don't get emotional. Okay. Next entry. Moving on. I used to think that time went by so slowly. When I was a child and I finally got into what was considered upper grade classes, fourth grade, I thought to myself, wow, finally. But at this rate, it'll take me forever to get into high school. Now, not only have I passed my high school age, but I am a mother of two and sending my eldest to school already. I used to sit back and think of what I would be like when I was older and a full-grown woman. I would calculate exactly how old I would be when that brilliant ball would drop in Times Square and the numbers would read 2000. Now, here I sit, 21 years old, and I realized I am nothing I imagined myself to be. On the one hand, I find it a bit depressing. Actually, it's a lot depressing. I was certain that by this time I would be either a very successful fashion designer, or artist, or cartoonist, or I would definitely be living far away from home, alone in a foreign country in a city like Paris, or London, or Milan. Never once did it cross my mind that I'd be sitting here, a housewife, in an apartment complex in the middle of nowhere, Connecticut, with a husband, 2 daughters, and not a penny to my name. Nothing to show for my life, no extraordinary achievements, barely any friends, nothing. Every year around this time, I try to convince myself to hold on a little longer and make the resolution to myself to try to make the coming year one where I make all my dreams come true. I want to leave this earth feeling I have achieved something great. I want people to remember me after I've gone. I often blame myself for not making the right choices or being more forceful or determined to see my name up in lights. But why pity myself? I should move on and acquire tunnel vision for the sole purpose of achieving my goals in life. Hopefully, by this time next year, I'll be a lot happier with myself and have a lot more accomplishments added to my list. Wish me luck. Like I said, I felt very trapped. I mean, you can tell from this entry, this was a dark time. I was ambitious. I wanted the world. And I think now, 20-something years later, I realize that I don't need that anymore. I think at that young age, I really wanted validation. I really wanted my life to mean something because I didn't feel like it did. But yeah, I don't need that anymore. Like I said, this project, well, this is for me. I'm not trying to get external validation from anyone. This is just me. This is a record. And for me, that's enough. I feel like journaling is that for me. It's really just my own little way of making a mark in the world, of writing my name on a wall saying Kelly was here. Because I do realize that my writings will outlive me. I don't want to be famous anymore. I used to. I used to want to be famous. Yeah, not anymore. I'm happy just knowing that somewhere there is proof that I was here, if only for my kids and generations to come. I want my journals to be my legacy. I often, write things and I imagine my grandkids or my great-grandkids being able to know me, to know who I was, to know their ancestor, to know who she was. And that's enough. That's enough for me. I think 20-year-old Kelly really needed that validation. But 46-year-old Kelly, yeah, I'm good. Like I said, I'm happy with my life. As happy as one can be given the state of the world. Okay, so these are a bunch of things. I'm going to skip a bunch just because I think what I was doing here was writing from prompts. I don't know where I got it from. I got like a list of prompts, journaling prompts from somewhere, and I think I'm just kind of going through them here, so I'm just going to skip all this stuff. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this is just me talking, right? Just venting. Next relevant entry. I hate nosy people. The kind of people that want to casually know everything and are constantly asking questions like, what's that for? And why do you do this? Or where are you keeping that? When what they're really asking about isn't even theirs. It's yours and doesn't concern them in the least. And it's not like you want to keep it from them or even care that they know about it, but everyone needs to keep some small inkling of his or her life private. I mean, what good am I if I'm not myself? Now, how can I be myself if everyone wants to pry into my mind to find out what makes me tick? I like keeping things to myself. It makes me feel human. I don't like telling the entire free world what it is I do every 5 seconds. things. I mean, hey, if the world found out about everything I did from the time I woke up this morning to the time I wrote this last word, I wouldn't care. I'm not doing anything wrong or condemning myself or anyone else. I had an average day. But for Pete's sake, don't ask me to tell you about every last detail. And I won't even be able to tell you every last detail. And two, if it's not important or life-threatening or significant in any way, who the hell cares? Minor details annoy the hell out of me. Am I supposed to memorize entire conversations and recite them like poetry? Am I supposed to film every second of every day of my life in my head and simply rewind and play on command? I think not. Yeah, so I think I know what this is about. I believe it was at this point where my ex realized that I threw away my journals, my notebooks. And he was asking, where did I put them? And he was probably, I don't remember. I don't know if he asked me like, oh, so you're not keeping a journal or anything. I don't think he asked me that, but I think he did ask me what happened to them. Yeah, he did ask me, what happened to my journals, what I do with them or where am I keeping them. And I told him, I threw them out, and he didn't believe me. But I did, very much did. So I think this is what this entry is about. Okay, I think this will be the last one. I've been doing this for a while. Okay, next entry. Did you ever feel so bored you just didn't know what to do with yourself? I hate that feeling. It's like you want to do something, but when you finally pick something, you don't feel like doing it anymore. I've been wanting to go back to New York again. I've come to realize that there really is no opportunity for me here, and I've realized that everyone that moves here has given up on their dreams and aspirations. And I think to myself, is that what I want to do? Conform to my situation because there is no convenience for me here? Settle with what I'm given because I think my children will benefit? You hear all these people out here talk about how they want to be home to take care of their kids because they feel they need them. And, for a minute there, I almost bought it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my kids and I do believe that they will have a better life here than they would out in New York. But what about me? I don't want to be selfish, but I can't say that I'm happy just because my kids will be attending a better school than I did. I want to be able to take them anywhere they want. I want to be able to go wherever I want. I want to have money in my pockets. I want to buy art supplies and draw and paint and sketch whenever my little heart desires. I want to take up photography again. I want to feel creative again. Not for nothing, but when I had my friends around, I felt so good about myself because they'd always give me that little extra boost of confidence that I needed to know that I really could do anything. I miss being able to go out with my friends and do what I like to do. I hate that if my husband doesn't feel like doing something, then guess what? I can't do it either. I hate being told when I will be able to have fun and with whom and for how long. I hate that no matter what, I can't have one whole day to myself. I mean, completely to myself. No husband, no kids, no housework, just me. If I could have just 1 week of vacation by myself, I would be a new woman. I think I'd get so much done, I would amaze even myself. I'd work night and day without anyone telling me that I had to go to sleep, that I had to go to bed, or get off the phone or turn down the radio. Honestly, I don't think my children are the reason I'm so miserable all the time. They never tell me I can't do this or I can't do that. They don't need me to tell them when I'm using the phone or not. They could care less who I talk to or who's been talking to me. I love my husband, I really do, but I can't stand the way he tries and often succeeds to control me. My own fault, I guess. I always let him and never put my foot down. Why? Because I hate hearing his mouth. I hate arguing, and so of course I conform. I need strength. I know I should let him know how I feel, but I also know he'll take it the wrong way and say I want to leave him. And really, I don't, because as much as he annoys me, I know I'll miss him if he's gone for more than a day or two. Believe me, I could use the break. I guess it's true what they say. You can't live with them, and you can't live without them. I hate that that's true. Honey, it is not true. I am living without them quite happily. So I think that's a good one to end on. Yeah, he was very, very controlling. Obviously, he'd be the one to go to work and, come home around 5 or 6, and yeah, he'd just grill me, you know, especially during this time because we didn't have a community. Like, we didn't really have any friends. He made a few friends, but, it wasn't anything like outstanding. Oh no, there was a family that was, they were really cool, but other than that, it was just kind of, yeah, just acquaintances. Anyway, yeah, so that's what he would do. He would just come home and literally just like, "What'd you do today?" "Nothing, you know, hung out with the kids, made them lunch." I mean, what do you want me to say? I was a housewife. I didn't really have a life. I didn't drive. I didn't have a car. It's not like I could go out. The most that I did was walk my kid to the bus to, send her off to school, and then walk to the bus again to pick her up. I mean, that was my day. Every so often I might like take out some watercolors and paint something, or yeah, so I mostly hung out with my 2-year-old. And I feel like now, like thinking back on it, I think maybe he thought I was, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he thought I was doing, but he thought something. I mean, obviously he would, yeah, it was bad. He was very controlling. He wanted to know everything about everything. It took a toll on me. It was exhausting. As an empath, like, I think that empathy, it's kind of what keeps you in it, which is, it's hard to deal with because I did understand him. I did care enough to get to know him in a way that no one else did. And honestly, it became like this kind of codependent thing where, because I knew him so well and empathized with him as a person, he saw that and kept me around until I couldn't anymore. I couldn't justify being in this toxic relationship anymore. But it was 12 years of my life where all I did was make excuses. Yeah, it was hard. I don't know what else to say. Yes, what have I learned here? I don't want to do this thing where I want to end with what I learned. What did I learn here? I think what I learned here is that it is very much possible to be in a dark place and still be optimistic for the future and still have ambitions and still want to make something of yourself. You can still be very much, you can be two things at once. There's nothing that says that you can't. And I think that's something that a lot of people get wrong when they learn that someone is dealing with something like depression or anxiety or anything like that. They think, we all have these preconceived notions of what depression is. I mean, and unless you've been through it, you don't know. So I guess what I learned here is, and what I hope you learned along with me, is that you can be both. You can be both things. You can feel trapped and still have hope for the future and still have goals and aspirations and determination to want to be better, to want to have better. It's possible. And I think that's where people often, you hear it all the time when someone loses that battle and take their own life. I think, oh, you hear a lot of people say, oh, but they were so happy and they were so ambitious and they had everything going for them. Yes, of course they did. But you can also be depressed and feel trapped and feel hopeless. It is possible to be both of these things. And like I said, my memory of this time was very dark. But now that I'm reading, what I wrote back then, my thoughts to myself, I'm seeing that even though I was all those things, I was still very much determined to get out of it. I was still optimistic. I was still hopeful. I was still, that last century, like, this is my year, you know what I mean? Like, you still want to turn things around. You still want things to be better. No one wants to be in a ditch, no one wants to be at their lowest. So yeah, that's what I took away from all this. Let me know what you thought. Yeah, let me do that YouTube thing. Yeah, let me know what you thought of this. Hope you had fun. See you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.